There's a guy I follow named Mike Dillard, and he sent an email series a couple weeks back on this topic of AI that I just thought was fantastic. So I want to read some key sections from that, share some insights from that I just thought were really good. But, kind of kicking this off, like where we're headed, and again, there's no guarantees, like we don't know how else it's going to play out, but I see there's a very real possibility that 10 years from now, there are robots everywhere.
Like in our homes.
Like
pulling
we go to a
weeds.
restaurant, there's robots waiting on us. There's robots cooking the food. We go to the DMV, there's robots working there.
You
There's
think
robots.
that's really going to happen in 10 years?
I think
That seems really fast.
this stuff is moving super fast. And I think when you understand how much benefit there is to gain from it, I think it's going to be a really quick adoption for a lot of people. So like you are right now, you don't want a robot in your home. But when you understand that you could have that and it can clean your entire house for you, it can cook fantastic meals for you, it can do the gardening, it can do the laundry, it can do all the stuff. Like you're going to start being like, maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah, our kids
Like-
want a robot so bad because they don't want to have to fold the laundry.
No, I know. And that brings up a whole nother thing we can get into a little bit. But the point is that this is where it's highly likely we're headed, and I think way faster than most people believe
Oh my
and
gosh.
understand.
Okay.
And
Right.
you are going to love it. And so,
You think so?
I absolutely. I think you are okay. Case in point, we just bought a robot.
I know. You did tell me about this, and
couple
I was
months
like,
ago.
you're right.
Okay, so we bought a Roomba 10 years ago or whatever, and it would vacuum the floors.
Yeah.
And then we had kids, and that makes it really difficult.
Right, because when there's a big glowing button on the top of it, they just want to play with that button over and over
worse
again.
than that is that they have stuff everywhere all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's Legos in every single like.
blankets and
Yeah, and so Roomba
Toys
just
that
didn't
get-
work well with that.
Right.
Now our kids are finally old enough that we can kind of minimize some of that.
Yeah.
Or contain it. And so we bought a robot.
that vacuums and mops, guys. It is
It
real
vacuums
good.
and mops the floor. And
I keep telling people, I'm like, this is going to be my baby shower gift for you because it is so good.
that's my
so
point.
good.
But if you imagine what a physical robot
I
could
know.
do that this can't do, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think I'm just saying it's going to be a slippery slope into it, and I think a lot of people are going to move really, really quick into it. So here's what he said in the email. He said, our aging parents will have a full-time caretaker at home with the best medical
Oh
training
my
in the world.
gosh.
Busy parents will have a full-time helper at home that does all the house chores, babysits the children when needed, especially at night, and who can instantly download the recipes of their favorite chefs. So you can literally have your own Wolfgang Puck cooking 3 meals a day for you.
yeah, that is.
It will place grocery orders for you automatically, and your self-driving Tesla will drive itself to Whole Foods to pick up the ingredients and bring them home to your robot. If you need medical, legal, or accounting advice, it'll be smarter than any doctor, lawyer, or CPA in the world. But what's going to happen, this is the part that I think people really get scared about, is that it is going to destroy a lot of jobs over
Yeah.
the years to come.
right.
Again, because I think we all thought, well, I'm going to go become a doctor. I'm going to become a lawyer. I'm going to become whatever.
And my job will
that
never be-
is going to be safe.
Yeah.
And actually, we're finding, and even designers, so we're finding over the last few years that a lot of the jobs that actually are being replaced quicker are the ones that we thought would be last. And then meanwhile, some of the more manual jobs, which I think it will get there, those are just taking a little bit longer, So, he goes on to say, unlike previous technological revolutions that created new opportunities, AI threatens to replace humans entirely across countless sectors. Okay. And so he said, consider lawn care workers, maids, chefs, nannies, personal assistants, delivery personnel, like all of those just potentially eliminated. Not to mention, again, and this might be further down the road, but when AI is sufficient, what does it mean in terms of a legal team? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm anticipating there's always humans involved, but at the end of the day, you don't need 10, in a big legal team, 10 research assistants, researching all these old cases and stuff like that.
Right.
You don't need that.
It should
anymore.
all be.
You know what I mean?
It'll all be downloaded into a computer, which means AI would have access
Yeah,
to
and even
it.
video editing, something that we're familiar with. It's the tools that are coming out and the AI pieces that are involved with them. It's just reducing the workload by 90, 95%. It's just a different thing. So past innovations like the Industrial Revolution, automobiles, and the internet empowered people and generated millions of new jobs. But with AI, we're not just businesses needing to adapt. Many of us are the equivalent of horses being replaced by cars, if
Yeah.
you think back to that. And so this, and I want to share this because I think this is crazy. He said the average college graduate has an IQ of 115 to 120. Okay. Harvard graduates, they're about 140 to 150 on the IQ level. Einstein and Tesla were both estimated at about 160 to 190.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So just giving you a baseline for where we are.
Well, I thought that was interesting about Einstein because he didn't speak until he was 4. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they all thought he was like, had something wrong with him.
No, he was
Interesting.
certifiable genius, like no doubt.
Yeah.
So as of March 2025, AI's estimated IQ based on test results is approximately 180. So AI is already at genius level. At current rates, AI intelligence is increasing about 40 points annually, surpassing all human intelligence by year's end, by the end of 2025. And so within just 3 years, the intelligence gap between AI and humans will mirror the current gap between humans and horses. So if you can think about it that way, how much smarter is a human than a horse? And what this is saying is that AI's intelligence will be that much smarter than ours. That's crazy to think about. Okay. Hang with me.
I know. I'm here
with me.
losing me.
Okay. So
Okay, keep going.
hang on. So like, and then when we get to the point that Tesla or whoever else has all these robots with that level of intelligence, the question comes up, like, why would you pay $500 an hour for an attorney when you can have that? Someone who is so far smarter than any attorney that's ever lived, you know?
Right.
And that is something to be considered. And again, like that goes to all the different areas and fields that we're talking about here. Why would you hire humans for service jobs when robots work flawlessly and they never get tired and they're like 95, 99% cheaper?
right.
They can just work around the clock. Once you pay for the thing, all you're paying for is essentially electricity, you know?
Right.
So-
Well, they're going to find a way to monetize that. Like we have to pay for apps on our phone.
Yeah, whatever. But you get the point. It's going to be way, 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 way cheaper than any human
Way,
being.
way
Right?
cheaper.
Way. How many ways do you think? A bunch. So the question is, what will any of us do for work? Because like I think of this, it's like Wall-E. Have you seen the movie Wall-E? It's like,
I know you keep bringing this up, and I'm like, oh Lord, please no.
I remember watching that movie, 10 years ago, and thinking, oh man, I could sense that we were heading in that direction because it's like you can see it, but it's like this brings us to that point so much faster,
Right.
you know?
And if you remember, at the end of Wall-E, they had to override the computer.
I don't actually remember. All I remember was just a few of the scenes
Oh yeah.
and what was
They
going on.
had to override the computer, and the computer didn't want them to. See, this is like what I think of. And so
Yeah.
they have to wrestle this computer, and the computer's trying to kill them, and they can't even walk because they just sit in lazy boys that are like
I know.
hover chairs.
Hover lazy boys.
That just, ride them around. Oh my gosh. Okay. Keep going.
All right. So he mentioned this example. Video editing has always been a very time-consuming and skilled task. And over the last year, 90% of their work can now be completed by AI for less than $40 a month.
Oh my gosh.
So what used to take days and cost hundreds of dollars now takes minutes and is nearly free. And so this is just a micro example of what's been happening in industries all over the world. He said a friend of mine has a family member who's a partner in a large law firm. He said his revenue and income is down 50% in the last year because people are just using AI for
Whoa.
contracts and advice instead. Yeah. And so anyway, in this article, he goes on to explain that he believes, to which I think he's probably right, that in this AI revolution, it's going to create 3 distinct groups of people, right? And so the group 1 is the ownership class, okay, or the ownership group. And this consists of people who own equity or own stock in those that own the AI and the robots, okay?
So Tesla is one of those.
Yeah. So in its simplest form, referring to people who own, like Tesla, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, OpenAI, Palantir, because these companies are the ones who are going to be benefiting from the massive stock price appreciation over the years ahead and really creating significant wealth for their investors. Now, again, anytime we're talking about something like this is not financial advice. This is just not even like secondhand at this point, but we don't know what companies are going to succeed.
Right. I was
And
thinking Blockbuster and Netflix.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
let's look out for those.
But that story could have been very different. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like Blockbuster could have eaten Netflix's lunch, and that would have been the one that lost the money. But the point is, so we don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be new companies that come up, but the point is there are going to be people who own these technologies that are going to explode over the next 5-10 years. And those are the ones that are going to be part of this ownership class, as he calls it. He says, this is your single greatest point of leverage to ensure that this revolution turns into a wealth creation event for you rather than a wealth destruction event that happens to you. And he said, you need to own the robots that are running around doing all the work and taking all the jobs, and investing in those companies is the easiest way to do that.
So are we doing that?
Well, I mean, Tesla is one of our a big stock that we own. We own a little bit of Nvidia. We maybe not much Google.
Have you been thinking about this the last couple of years?
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about Tesla, and one of the reasons whatever happens with them as a car company, I'm not as concerned about. Even though I feel really confident that as they get full self-driving going, that
would be a great
that's
thing.
going to be
A self-driving car really is a robot.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just a robot on wheels. That's all.
Yeah.
So, Tesla is just one of those ones that I've been very, very thankful that we got in as long ago as we did. And even now, with everything that's going on with all the drama circulating them and all the boycotts and stuff like that, like all this stuff is actually really good. I don't think it's going to last. I don't think it's going to. I mean, I just read an article like it's not harming Tesla at all. Like the media is trying to make it look like. I mean, because they obviously don't like Elon at all, but they're trying to make it look like it's really harming Tesla, and it's actually
It's
not.
just not. Interesting.
So anyway, it is what it is. But anyway, so that's group one. Is he's defining this as the ownership class, right? So group
So
two,
to realize there's an opportunity here. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
even have to buy into it really to know that there's an opportunity.
Yeah, no, I mean, hopefully this all makes sense. Like, and that's what's so beautiful. Like, a lot of what we teach in our 10x investing course is common sense stuff like this, because I think there's so many people that get so in the weeds and overcomplicate investing. And my greatest mentors and the people that I have really looked up to and learned from were people who invested like this. It's like the writing's on the wall. Like it's pretty clear where we're headed. And it's like there's no guarantee, but man, it certainly looks like we're moving in this direction. How can we think a couple years ahead
Right.
and be in the position to be an owner in that situation? That's
Yeah.
really what it comes down to. All right, so group two he describes as the adapters, okay? And one of the things he says here, which, you know, I've heard a lot of people say this idea, is like you don't need to be afraid of AI replacing you. AI is not going to replace you, but someone else using AI will.
Yes.
Okay, I've heard this so many times, but
Yeah.
but I think it's a really good way to look at it. It's not, you know, someone else who take, and I think this is in the near term, like 20 years from now. It's like who knows, but at this point, I think the bigger threat is someone else who knows how to use the tools and you don't, and you're just doing things like
Right.
you did 5-10 years ago. You know.
Yeah.
So, in terms of this group, the adapters, he says, is AI going to replace everyone's job? It's like, no, but it will change 100% of them. And so we don't need to wonder what it's going to look like because it's already happening, right? And so we've seen all kinds of different things. And so what this means is that large teams are going to turn into small teams in pretty much every business. And so work that required a team of 25 software developers now might only need 5 with AI. And like we've seen this with Facebook. Like in Zuckerberg, he's already like laid off tons of developers because AI is doing it. And
Oh, wow.
so it's already happening, right? So what he's proposing here is that instead of you in a job or you and your 5 employees, it'll be you and AI doing your unique thing in the world. And this is kind of the adapter group, okay? And you know, these will be the ones who basically have the initiative and the drive to learn how to use the technology for their benefit. And so adapters will find all kinds of unique ways to use AI to create new forms of value in the world. But the truth is, and I think we know this, is that not everybody's going to be willing to do that. Not everyone is going to be willing to adapt,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
Like
and
me.
I hope you would. I hope you do.
I know, but I'm one of those people that's a little bit more hesitant. That's why I'm making a joke about myself.
I'm so glad. So the third class, and this is the class that we don't want to be in. This is the dependent class, he says. And so these are the people who are going to require, ultimately, and this is his viewpoint of this, are going to require some sort of UBI, universal basic income, that the government is providing.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's nothing to do.
Because they can't figure out how to make it work for them.
Well,
and they're too late.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's that. I think it's just this idea of like, because I've heard multiple people talk about this, who anticipate that 10 years from now that the world is going to live in a basically economic prosperity like we've never seen before, like who are incredibly optimistic about all this. And the logic is that if everything that is produced, instead of having to pay a human being $20, $25 an hour or $50 an hour or whatever the thing is, that now you can do it for the cost of electricity, basically, with a robot doing it for maybe 50 cents or $1 an hour.
Gosh.
Like everything becomes cheaper. Every single thing that we buy, every object, like everything becomes cheaper, including like even food. Like, because you think about like just the process of, picking raspberries off a vine,
right.
like that adds to the cost of it. And, and there's things like that where it's like that might not be reduced as much. But if you think about like some of the manual processes, and again, I don't know what's going on in car factories right now, but like stuff like that, where traditionally it was a whole bunch of people all involved. You replace all of that with robots that, maybe used to be $25, $50 an hour. And now it's just $1 an hour.
That's crazy.
Like the cost of everything comes down, which is why they're speculating that 10 years from now or whatever the time frame is, that we're just going to have so much prosperity, not just as a nation, but really I think as a world, or lots of parts of the world. That's cool. That's exciting.
Cool, yeah.
Obviously, I think there's negative that comes with that, but
not having to pay slaves to bring down the cost of my shirt.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Sure. And even beyond that, like that comes back to this idea of universal basic income. It's like, if we're that prosperous, then we as a government can afford to provide some sort of like, welfare type thing to everyone, just so that everyone has some baseline of living, even though whatever, maybe half of the workforce is no longer employed or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't know. Like, who knows where this is going, but
who knows? But
the point is, so what he says is 10 years from now, a good 30 to 40% of the population will likely be out of work. He said, think COVID levels of unemployment, but on a permanent basis. And he said the only real option is to pay them UBI, and then we have to come up with some creative ways to kind of cover that. But I think that probably isn't that difficult of a problem to solve. I don't know. I haven't gone down that far yet. Like, I'm still on the like, yeah. That's the thing. Like, we have to bring God back into the equation, because there is still a purpose. Like, there is, like, now I don't want that. Like, I've had that, in a roundabout way. Like, at the beginning of our business, we built a complete passive income business where I didn't have to do anything, and I hated it.
Right.
It made my life miserable. So it's like humans were created to work.
That's what I'm saying.
But my point is that ultimately provides some level of, because like it comes back to that question. It's like, what would you do if you didn't have to work for money? You know what I mean? And we all have that God-given thing that He put inside of us. And if universal basic income allows us to do that, like that could be really exciting and allow more people to do what they were called to do, rather than feeling like I have to do this job just to pay the bills, to cover my family, and I'm not doing what I'm called to do. But
well, that's a good way to spin it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about spin. It's like I'm just theorizing. I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm not saying spin it in a bad way. I'm saying spin it like, instead of looking at the doom and gloom side.
Yeah, I know. Like
I feel like in most things, you are the more pessimistic one in our relationship. And in this, I am way more pessimistic than...
Well...
what is the word there?
Pessimistic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
it was sounding weird when I was saying it.
I don't know. I think I've just sat on this longer than you. I've thought through it more.
Maybe.
And
I've tried to avoid it.
Yeah. And so I think that's part of it. But like, I don't... like for something that's kind of inevitable, like I feel like I quickly get to the point. It's like, it is what it is. Like, let's just figure out how to make the best of it. Like there's no stopping it. You know what I mean? Like there's no getting away from it. And so you might as well just accept it and make the most of it. And what's exciting about it is there is a huge opportunity. And this is what we're going to talk about in the next one, the next episode in the series, is there is a huge, huge opportunity. Like for a lot of people, a bigger opportunity to radically change their financial life more than any other point in their life. Like with these massive shifts, like there are huge opportunities presented. It's like most people don't realize this, but like in the Great Depression, there were more millionaires created during and after that than any other point.
Wow.
And it was bad for a lot of people, but a lot of people took that massive change and that massive shift, and they ran with it and used it to their advantage, and were able to really move forward financially. And not just because I think some people immediately go to the negative, and it's like, well, it's just because we're taking advantage of the other people. That's not necessarily the case at all. And sure, there's always evil people who are doing that, but that's not God's way. That's not something that we need to do. And there are righteous ways to do it, to take advantage of the times and the seasons and the opportunities. And that's what I'm after. You know? So like we often do when we're talking about things that scare you on the podcast, I think it's really...
I don't think they realize that this happens to us like probably once a week, where I'm like, don't tell me any more about it.
I'm so curious. And anyway, but we have to remember that God's in control. We have to remember that like all of this stuff feels overwhelming, but God isn't surprised by any of this. Like he knew this was coming. He's the same Lord who guided his people through every major civilization shift.
Right.
You know, from agricultural to industrial to digital, like he remains firmly on the throne, you know, in this age of artificial intelligence and everything that's going on. Like the God who formed human intelligence in us, he has sovereign authority over artificial intelligence.
Right.
Right? So it's not happening outside of his awareness or his control or anything else like that. And so we have to remember that our ultimate identity and security were never meant to be found in our job, in our income source, in our...
Or intellect,
and our productive output, like in anything, right?
Right.
So long before AI was even conceivable, Scripture reminded us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Amen.
Psalm 39:14, if anybody wants to read it. And we were created with inherent worth that no technological revolution can diminish. So while AI may change how we work, it cannot change why we exist, to know God and to make him known. And so in these times of change, we don't need to respond out of fear or anxiety. But we need to be quiet. We need to, you know, be in this situation and spend our time with the Lord, knowing that he is the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
And so whatever economic and social transformations lie ahead, God's purposes for your life remain unchanged, and his provision remains assured.
Amen.
He will see us through. He's faithful. He will never leave us nor forsake us. And he's got us, and he's going to see us. He's going to help us navigate through all this. But, you know, but I think it is important that we are aware of what's going on, and that we can identify the mountain that is in front of us, or whatever the thing is, whatever the obstacle is, and speak to the mountain, tell the mountain how big our God is, rather than looking at the mountain and burying our heads, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm bringing this up. That's why we're talking about this, because I feel like it's a conversation that needs to happen.
Yeah, and God didn't call us to cower in fear.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so it's an obstacle, but it's like, I want to be like David running towards Goliath. Like that level of boldness. It's like, you are so much bigger than me. Make me feel small when I look at your stature versus mine. But he knew how big his God was in him. And it's no different with us moving into this new era that we find ourselves transitioning into, right?
Yeah.
So,
amen.
We're
Good
gonna
word,
be okay.
Bobby.
But anyway, so next episode, it's going to be really good. We're going to be talking about why AI really, I believe, is the number one career priority you should have for the next few years. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to do this, but why this is going to be absolutely critical for you going forward for the next few years. So hope to see you in the next episode. Stay tuned.
We'll be back.
And we will see you then.
And I'll be back.
And you'll be back. You're going to do it, right? You're coming back?
I'm coming back.
All right. Good.
I'm only on page 13 and I've already underlined a zillion things and I want to cry in a good way. This is what Kelly said after reading our book, Simple Money, Rich Life.
Yeah. Well, those first 13 pages, I mean,
They are
they're going to do it
tearjerkers.
to you. They're going to do it to you. So be sure to check out the first 13 pages.
And did you know that you can get a copy of this award-winning book for free? You can get it on Amazon, but we so believe that the church needs this message that if you can cover shipping, we'd love to cover the cost of the book and send you a free copy.
All you need to do is go to seedtime.com/free to get yours.